Yeah, it looks good.
All right, so today I'm going to do a class on creating a Revit add-in in Visual Studio and C#. So the goals for today will be part 1. I don't expect to actually get to part 2, which is actually creating the Revit add-in. We're just going to do basic programming, Visual Studio, and I'm going to be going back and forth from these slides to Visual Studio, and we're going to be writing. So for part 1, to get acquainted with Studio, we're going to learn about C# and .NET Framework. We're going to write some variations, very simple. We're going to write a class. So let's just get started. So what is Visual Studio? Is an IDE. So it's basically, in most layman's terms, it's a place where you can write code. You can write all kinds of different types of applications in it. Today, we're just going to be focused on applications with C# and .NET Framework. And in Visual Studio, the file structure kind of goes, you have a solution, and that's like the highest item in the tree. Inside of your solutions, projects, and inside of your project, you have files. Your files are actually programs and different files that you'll use to run your programs, and those will be stored in the process. So we're actually going to get out of the slideshow and go into Visual Studio. So what I want you guys to do is go into Visual Studio, so find it. For whoever has it installed. So start Visual Studio. It's gonna take some time to load. And when it does, you should get something that looks like this. For James, he was getting like a message that said like, do you want to sign in? Just say like later.
Yeah, I'm getting that too.
You're getting that?
Yeah, I'm getting.
Just say like, just say I want to sign in later. What, James?
Yeah, so like at the bottom of that sign in, you just say, okay. It says maybe later or something. And
yeah, maybe later.
Yeah.
For me, let me just pick.
Just do maybe later. Because the Visual Studio we have is actually not an enterprise license, so you can only really use it for training purposes. Like you can't actually write, so you don't want to actually sign in. And by write code, I mean write code for the company that we're going to use. So one be later, you should get to a screen that looks like this. Is anybody on this yet?
Yep.
So you're going to want to.
Or open receipt?
What'd you say, Efren?
All I have is open receipt on the left side. Is just
you just have open receipt. You don't have training. Get started.
No.
Nobody has the get started.
I have get started.
Yeah, I have it.
I do too. I just don't have the files on the side, which I'm guessing those are yours.
Okay. So you should have this get started on the side. So you're either going to see like create a new project or create a new solution. But click, if you have create a new project, click create new project. And it's going to give you a bunch of options for different kind of projects you can create. The one that you're going to want to find for the first tutorial is console app.NET Framework. But you need to make sure it says C#. It might say like VB.NET. You don't want that. You want the one that says console app.NET Framework, not console app.NET Core, .NET Framework, and not VB.NET. It needs to be C# and .NET Framework.
So with C#, that means it has that little C hashtag symbol on it.
Yeah, C hashtag.
Okay.
So C number symbol or C hashtag. So once you found that, probably do it from typing in here too. Click it. And then for solution name, you want to put drafting training. File structure before, this is the solution. And for the project name, this is going to be a project, the solution. You can just put it, I don't know, testing. And for me, I actually created a solution already called drafting training. So I'll just call this one drafting training too. And then for the framework down here, you want to make sure it's .NET Framework. If you have .NET Framework 4.8, set it to that. I think you all should have it. So
Alan, I don't have that drop-down menu there for the framework.
What does it say?
I don't have anything. I just have the first three, the project name, location, and solution name.
It's okay. Does your thing say console app.NET Framework up here?
Oh, no, it says .NET Core.
So you need to do .NET Framework.
Okay.
.NET Core is .NET Framework. So
Gotcha.
if anyone else did that, just go back, type in console app, and then make sure to find .NET Framework, not .NET Core, and then C#, and hit next. And then put testing, drafting training 2, and .NET Framework 4.8. So once you have that, hit create. It's going to create the solution for you. And you should see in your solution called drafting training 2. And then you have a project called testing. Inside of that project, you're going to have a program called just program.cs. And if you have that, then you should be good to go. Does anybody not have this?
Yes, I have.
No,
You have
I
it? Okay.
apologize. I didn't get a meeting request, so I just got in. So, yeah, I don't have any of that.
Kendall, I put some notes in the chat for you.
Sure.
You can follow those directions.
Oh, is there? You put a note in there? Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but if he just joined, he probably won't see those chat.
Maybe Zach could help with the more specific.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't.
Zach, can you help
I didn't
Kendall?
receive a meeting request, so yeah, I finally got someone to. Sahara finally.
Sorry, Kendall.
No, it's all right. Because now I'm the one keeping everybody, slowing everybody down. Oh, don't sign in. Oh, now you tell me. So do I get out?
No.
Maybe. Click the maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. There is no maybe.
There's a button that says maybe later on the bottom. No, I just got your text, Kendall.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Alan.
It's okay. So just to recap, Kendall, you want to start Visual Studio, so go find it. And then you're going to want to not sign in, do maybe. And you want to create a new project.
I think I must have already signed in because I don't get a maybe.
That's okay, as long as you have this create a project. So you have this create a project, hit new.
Create a new project, perfect.
Type in console app. Find console app.NET framework with C#.
This is in the
Hit
search
next.
concept.
In the search, yeah. And then when you find the console app.NET framework with C#, put in for project name, testing, solution name, drafting train 2. And
Yeah,
then for framework, put .NET Framework 4.8.
It's not finding the console app under create a new project.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe yours didn't get installed with those. If anyone
Yeah,
doesn't
mine
have
neither.
it, then I don't know.
I don't have it
Follow
either.
along.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
I don't have the
some of it.
console.app.net.
Yeah, if you don't have it, you're just gonna have to follow along. Sorry,
Okay.
guys.
That's fine.
It is a console
So
space
getting
app.
back-
Search console space app, not dot.
Keep going, Alan.
Yeah, the console option is not coming through. It says WPF, but that's all I get.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the way your install went. They didn't
Oh,
those templates.
Yeah,
I'm in the
all I
wrong
see is
thing.
that.
I'm in Blend for Visual Studio. See, I'm not even in the right thing. Visual Studio 2019.
Yeah, it should be Visual Studio 2019.
I was in some other.
Anyways,
There we are. Don't send me.
whoever's in the chat, we need to continue the presentation. So we have our project and solution set up where we could write code. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about C# and .NET Framework. So this C number symbol is pronounced sharp when talking about this language, as in like a note, a musical note. I don't know why, but it is. And that's the language we're going to be using. It's a programming language. And for the project we created, we're using .NET Framework, and it's an environment that was created by Microsoft, and you use it to make .NET Framework applications. We don't need to go any, but basically it's a .NET Framework application that we're creating. And C# is similar to C or C++. If anyone has ever used those two languages, the syntax is pretty similar. The compiled language, meaning that it needs to be compiled into machine language before run. And it's also an object-oriented programming language. If anybody's ever used Java, it's similar to that, or any other object-oriented programming languages like Python. And I'll go into that later. We're just going to start with the very basics. A variable is a container where you create data. And every variable, it has a type, a name for that variable or that container, and a value assigned.
Close in. I can't hear.
I think we just lost Alan.
Maybe he wants us to think about it.
Take a moment of silence, for Alan was such a great professor for these first few minutes.
Zach's turn.
Zach's turn.
I don't have anything else to say about this slide.
Come on, Zach.
Potato.
So it basically shows how you create a variable, which, oh, it disappeared.
Oh, Alan disappeared with it.
So what you saw there is how in C# you assign a variable to a value. And a variable is just a name that you think of it like a bucket, and you could stick something into that bucket. So in his example, he had a variable declared as an integer, which is what that int thing said. And he gave it some name. It's not on the screen anymore. There. I'll let Alan handle it.
Yeah.
Back.
So basically what I was saying before, sorry guys, my internet sucks. So a variable is basically like a container where you can store data. And as Zach was saying, this type is an int or an integer value. It can store only a certain type of value. In this case, like Zach was saying, an integer. So a whole number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In this case, you have a variable called number of mullions. and it's storing a value of 10. There's lots of different other types. I have some other examples here. There's a type double with variable name, mullion weight, and it has a value of 500 and 0.0123. A double type, as you see, can store decimals, whereas the int can't. It can only store an integer. Another type is called the string. In this case, we have a variable type for string, a variable name, mullion name, and it's storing a value of W752102. Basically, it can store any list of characters. So this case is storing this W752102. But a double or an int couldn't store these letters because they're not numbers. And then for the last example, it's a bool. So this variable is mullion vertical. It's equal to false. And a bool is either just true or false. Any questions?
Those quotations between this and the string is just if you're gonna list the different an amount of letters, and like you want to encompass like that. Okay.
A string could be, it can be any number of characters, but it needs to be enclosed in quotation marks.
Okay.
What if you have like 12 inches? Would you put the quotes? How would you do the quotes for that?
Good, yeah. If you wanted it to be a string, you would put 12 space inches or 12 underscore inches, or however you want to format it.
Oh, you can put
but it would just
sign.
take it exactly the way you put it into those quotation marks.
And Boolean variable assignment, false or true, is a case sensitive, or?
It's case sensitive, yes.
Okay.
I think.
Now I'm talking about the assignment, not variable is case sensitive, but
yeah, the value you mean, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Let's go into Visual Studio again. Oops, let me just stop the presentation real quick. Let me do that. There, let's do this. Okay, so going back into our project, you want to go into you should have a window in the middle here. If you click in your Solution Explorer, you should have this on the right side. You should see on the bottom a row that says Program. You want to double click it to go into it. If anyone have the Solution Explorer, you could go into View here, and it should be right here. You can click this and add it to your project.
What did you just add?
I was just saying if anybody doesn't have this over here, this into Solution Explorer, or if you don't have anything that I'm seeing, you're going to want to go into View and find it. But once you're in this window here that says Program, you want to click Enter, and in this these little curly brackets, you want to type variables. We're going to variables. So we're going to make the first one. We're going to, and then we're going to do the type, the variable name. So we'll just number of variables. In the variable, you can't have any spaces. So that's why I'm using underscores. Like no variable names can have spaces. And then once you cite the name, you're going to do an equal sign and then assign a value to it. I'll just put 4. And for any line in C#, you need to put a curly bracket, a curly brace, or what is this thing called? A semicolon? You need to put a semicolon. And one line of code, you've declared a variable called number with a type int, a value of 4. So anyone have trouble with that? Cool. So now we're going to create another variable. We're going to call this one we're going to make the type a string, but message. And we're going to assign it a value of this is my message. And then again, we need to put get, and since this is a string, it needs quotation marks around it. Otherwise, it won't be, Visual Studios won't like it.
Alan, what's the point of the semicolon again?
That means you end the line, the end of a line of code. So line of code, you have to put a semicolon.
Gotcha.
So we have these two variables. Now I'm going to show you guys just a quick thing you can do. Type in capital C, console, and then you're going to type a dot, so period, and then right line, and then you're going to type a parentheses, and then you're going to put message. And then at the end, you need to put another semicolon to end that line. And then we're going to line of code, console, right line. Or sorry, this time we're going to do console read key. So with this, the first line that we added, right line, this is going to start a console when we run this program. And it's going to display our message. And then this console read is going to stop the console from exiting until we press a key. So on the top of your Visual Studios, up here, you should have a button that says Start. Since this project is an executable, when you press Start, it's going to compile it and then execute it. So if you hit, what you should have is a little console up here with whatever string that you put into this console. So it'll say, this is my message. And then if you want to get rid of it, or sorry, you want to exit this console, just press any key and the program will end. And again, to do that, go up to the start and then press any key to get out. Yeah, the console is part of Visual Studio. It's part of this executable.
Okay.
Basically. It's from this script that you just created. So is everyone good on that? Any questions? Okay. So now that we've wrote a variable, I'm going to, I wrote some, we're just going to talk really quickly about functions. So in C#, they're basically a set of code that, sorry, my connection is bad right now. But basically functions are code that return some value. So they'll have some number of inputs and then they'll return an output. So for this example I have here, the first part here is the return type of this function. It's returning an int type. A function is add. And then for the input, you have an integer of value 1. So the variable name will be called value1 for this input. And then for the second input will be int value 2. And then in the actual function, there's only one line of code. And it's just adding the first value with the value and returning it. So any questions here? Okay. So we're going to go back to Visual Studios again. And we're just going to highlight all this here. And you guys should have this up here. And you're going to find this button that has like, it looks kind of like a little indent thing. When you hover over it, it should say comment out the selected lines. So you want to click that. And it's going to add these two little slashes. So this means that the lines are commented out, or that when this script executes, they won't get run. So we could just comment these out, not work, just start writing our function. So create a function called add, and then it'll take in an int. So value 1, value 2, and then your function needs to have curly brackets, and it needs to have a return value of type int. So we're going to return value 1 plus value 2. And then we end the line, of course, with a semicolon. And this function is inside of this other function called main. To run this function, we're just going to first going to declare two variables. So we'll call one number 1, and maybe 5. Or let's just call this maybe mullions 1. How about mullion count 1? Sorry, guys. That makes more sense. So mullion count 1. And I'll make another variable called mullion count 2, maybe 2. And then we're going to do it's called calling a function. So we're going to type add. And then if you see in videos, it should have like these little toolbars, like or tooltip pop up underneath where you're typing. So it's telling you you need for the first and the int for the second. So you're just going to put in the variables you created. So mullion count 1, mullion count 2. It's going to add those together. And you're going to want to assign this to a variable. So you're just going to say maybe mullion. And to make things easier to read, you could press enter.
Wait a second.
So this is actually still one line of code, even though I pressed enter, because C# knows to look for this semicolon. So now you have another variable called int mullion total that adds mullion count 1 and mullion count 2. So now we're going to display this in that console again. So do console right line. And then we're just going to type mullion total. And then we're going to type dot. And then the first thing that should come into string, but you could just type it. Again, if it's hard to read, because my screen is really small, I'm pressing enter. And you end a semicolon. So it's going to write the mullion total. And you need to add that line again. Sorry, not right line. You need to read to have the console wait for a key to be pressed. So we have a question. How come lines 13 to 16 change to have // So Zach said you can do Control plus E and then C to comment out lines. So if I wanted to comment these back in, I would just hit the same button or Control plus E plus C. Or is it not? Oh, sorry, it's this button. But to do that, you would just hit this button. And then this one uncomments them out. Do you have this button here, James?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that worked.
Okay. Cool. Does anybody not get to this part? Or does everybody have these lines?
Yeah, I think I was just like trying to pay attention of what you're typing, not really paying attention to what some of the commands are doing.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think
it's going to be a lot. But if you're up to here, you would just hit start, and it should display the amount of mullions you have. So it would do the add function for the first value and second value, and it would write in the console mullion total. So it wrote 7. Any questions there, or anything anyone needs help with? Good.
Getting an error at the val 1 and val 2.
Okay. What does it say?
I don't even know.
Do you want to share your screen, or do you want me to just continue?
I can share it real quick.
Okay. It looks like you just have an extra parentheses, James.
Oh, do
or you also are missing a parentheses after the add. So on line 26,
right.
parentheses in red. So you just want to delete that parentheses.
Got it.
And then after add, after val 2, yeah, where Zach is pointing, put in parentheses. And now when you print, there you go.
Way to go, James!
There we go.
Got it.
Thank you.
I'm still getting the "this is my message."
Oh, you want to share your screen?
Yeah, let me share my screen. On my last line, it's giving me this repair. I think I messed up something here.
Oh, you're mid curly bracket after console.writeLine. So on line 24.
Line 24.
Right after that parentheses, you need a semicolon.
That. Okay.
And you also need a semicolon after val 1 plus val 2.
This one right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So not this one, because why?
Because that's a colon declaration. It's like the line that tells you what the function is doing.
Okay.
So it doesn't need a semicolon.
Okay.
Just telling like what are the inputs, and then under the curly brackets is what the function does. Inside any of those lines, you need the semicolon.
Okay.
Anyone else still having trouble? Cool.
I have one question.
Sure.
So the main function, like static void main string, and then args, args.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it is, I think it is arguments or something. So what does that mean? So it is like if you want to pass an argument.
I think that's if you want to pass arguments in the command line, but I don't think we need to really get into that. Is that correct?
Got it. No, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, just don't worry about that part for now.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I have a question. What is that? We can pass the argument like that. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So we both did functions. Now this kind of gets a little more abstract. We're going to get into programming. So object-oriented programming uses a model designed around objects And what are objects? Objects are just kind of like a type. They're like a data type where you could store data, but they have a couple other like functionalities. And every object, there's some questions. Oh, that's Zach. Okay. Every object in C# is defined by its class. And what is a class? So basically, like I said, everything is defined by a class, and a class has methods. Oh, oops. A class has methods, and a class has fields. I'm putting this in like kind of the simplest terms, but fields are basically like variables inside of your. Have like an int fields, a float fields, a string field, a char fields, full fields, and methods are basically like functions, but like I said, when they're inside the class, they're called methods. So a class could have methods and fields, or variables and functions. And when you create a instance of a class, it's called object. And the object carries over the same methods and fields defined in the class. And if that's kind of confusing, I have some examples to kind of help you guys understand it. So I have two examples. The first one is a class called dog. So in this class called dog, it has a couple of fields: the name of the dog, the color of the dog, and it has methods or functions. It can sit and it can roll over. And then when you create instances of the dog or objects, you can have different names for the dog. You can have different colors, but they're separate objects, or they're separate. Another example, more related to Walt the Wolf, you could have a class called emollient, and you could put the fields you want. For this example, I put, for this emollient class, it has a name, a length, material, type, and these are three objects created from this class. This one is a horizontal, we have a jam, and a vertical, and their fields vary by the object. Any kind of questions about classes or objects? No? Okay. I think after this, we are actually going to create our own class. So again, we're going to slide back to Visual Studio. We're going to comment out these lines. We don't need them anymore. You guys are going to go to this testing. You want to right click on it.
Where'd it go? Testing.
Once you've right clicked it, you should this drop down. There should be an add arrow. And you hover over it.
What do we?
Oh, sorry, it's on the right side of Solution Explorer. You have this window, Kendall, on the right side.
Yeah.
What did you do to erase the code?
Oh, click this button, Celine, to comment out the selected lines.
Comment. So you select all the lines and then click the button?
You have to highlight them and then click the button.
Okay.
And then the testing is Zach is doing. Sorry, I don't know how to put those things. But you just right click on testing here. Hover over add. Go to new item. So now your file to your And then you should have this list of different kinds you can create. We're going to create a class, or a class file. And what should we create? Should we create a mullion, or what? Does anyone have any ideas? Create something more creative and fun?
Taco.
Okay, taco.
I cannot see the class. I don't know why.
Yours doesn't have class?
No, there's no class. I have text file, HTML page, style sheet.
Do you have anything on this left-hand side, Katan?
Yeah, I have general and test setting. Install. I don't have the Visual C items.
You don't have Visual C# items?
No.
Well, if you do have
There's another way you can do it. If you hit cancel.
This class here.
Hit cancel. And then right click on testing again. Alan died.
Lost him.
Anyway, you can right click on testing, and in that menu, you can go to add. And then in that menu, there's one that's called add class. So you don't have to pick it out of this thing.
Oh yeah, at the end, at the bottom, I have class. Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, I got it.
I think it's Alt Control C or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you.
So we're going to be making some tacos, Josh?
Oh, yes.
Oh, man, getting hungry.
Apparently.
Taco Thursday.
Are there any other questions what we've gone over so far?
So in terms of like using this with Revit objects, are there kind of just like built-in objects or?
Yeah. So he's not going to get into it because there just isn't enough time, but you can download a package and install it into your program, which has all the Revit classes and objects in it. And then you can just use those objects. So example classes in Revit would be document, which would be the file that you have open. They have curtain wall, or actually just wall. Wall is an object in Revit, in the Revit API. It's called an API, application programming interface. And I don't know, maybe I'll just share my screen real quick.
So inside the new items, what are the major ones that we use for creating our add-in or Revit related things?
So, well, if you go to, there's a website that documents the Revit API. It's called Revit Api Docs. So, sorry, Alan, the question came up.
Sure.
Like, how would you tie it into Revit? So I was just going to go over it real quick.
Okay.
You can pick your Revit version here, and then this is a list of all of the namespaces and classes that are in Revit. And the big one is this one, Revit Database, which is the drawing file. And you can see there's all kinds of classes in here that you can use to interact with Revit. Like there's a wall class here at the bottom of the list. Wall. So every wall in Revit is a wall class type, and you can access its properties. So some of the properties they have here is like its bounding box, if it's flipped or not, its location, its name, its wall type, that kind of stuff. So that's how, and it's very similar for AutoCAD as well. Good question.
But it's all basically just object-oriented programming. It's all classes and objects and properties and fields and whatever.
And do they have any explanation on each class with Revit API?
On that API docs that Zach was on, it has explanations for each class in the Revit API.
Okay.
Is it sharing my screen? No.
We see your
Sure.
PowerPoint. Yep,
There you
now we see it. Tacos. Wait, so
Taco?
you tacos and then we hit add? Sure do. There we go.
So when I left, Zach was explaining another way you can add a file.
Yeah, you can
Wow,
right
was
click
everyone-
on testing
Mhm.
and then go to add. And then at the bottom, Shift Alt C class. So you don't have to find it in the list. It's right there.
Okay. You could also do this. But either way you do it, you want to create a class called Taco. Once everyone has this, let's add some fields to Taco. So maybe we'll call a field string with beans. So it has a field called beans. What else is in a taco? Our tacos always have beans. Now they usually have meat. So let's put meat instead of beans. So I'll put meat, maybe another string for tortilla. What else goes in the taco?
Salsa.
Salsa.
Sour cream. Guacamole. I am getting hungry, James.
Yeah, you got much.
Okay, I think this is enough fields for our taco. So guacamole, salsa, tortilla, meat.
You don't need the quotations on this one, or
you don't. No, not when you make a class.
Yeah.
Because these are, you're just defining. It's like a template for the objects you want to create. So
okay.
when you actually create the taco objects from the class, you'll need the quotation marks. But I'm actually going to change this guacamole to just a bool. So we can say, like, does the taco have guacamole or not? And then maybe we'll add one method for the taco, like, I don't know. What kind of method could you add for a taco?
Soft or
crispy or soft.
Yeah.
Well, what's something you could do with a taco?
Eat it or throw it?
To go.
Eat it or throw it
Let's do
away.
throw.
Fry it. Right.
I like fry. So we're going to create another method inside of this taco. Basically, it's just like a function, like we did in last. Let's make it simpler. I'll do a void. So type void fry, curly brackets. A void is a special kind of function or method that returns nothing. So this is fine. This is good the way it is. So we have a class called taco. It has some fields and it has a method. So if we go back to our program, we could actually create objects from this class that we just created. So we have this taco. Is someone going to say something?
Can you repeat what a void is again?
Oh, a void? A void is a special kind of function and it returns nothing. So this is useful like when you want to do something in the code, but you don't want to have it return a value. Because in this, for example, in this action, it's returning the sum of these two values. But we don't want to have it return anything. We just want to have it fry the taco. We don't want to have it actually tell us anything new. Kind of makes sense, Damien?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So now we're going to actually create an object, store it in a variable.
I have one question. The namespace. The namespace, the namespace should be the same as like a project name, or we can change anything.
You can change it. It just depends on how you want to structure your like folders here.
Oh, okay.
But basically, yes, this is the name of the project, the namespace.
For namespace, you have to keep the same, right? It is coming.
Yeah, so the
automatic.
taco is going to have the same namespace
Okay.
as the project,
Thank you.
as does this program. But now we're going to create a object. So we're going to make a taco variable, and we're just going to call it, I don't know, what do they have at Taco Bell?
Chalupa.
Chalupa. And then we'll say, you have to use this keyword called new. So to instantiate a new object from that class, you put that new taco. And the syntax is you put it inside of these parentheses. These are parentheses, right? So now you've instantiated a taco called chalupa, and we're going to create another taco called, I don't know, 5-layer. And for these tacos, you can assign values to those fields that we created. So these meat, tortilla, salsa, guacamole, we could actually assign those values from these instances, these objects. So to do that, you would type the name of the objects, in this case, chalupa, but it's not showing up. And that is because these fields actually need to be set to public. I'm not going to go into this too much, but basically add public to each of these fields, or you're not going to be able to use them outside of your class. So go back into Taco, make these public fields.
Do we make a public void?
Probably, yeah, might as well, right? So make a public void for fry too. And now, like when you type the dot, there's something called Intellisense in Visual Studios, and it gives you kind of information about in this user interface about what's inside of your class. So the things you can access from that class in this object. So for guacamole, we could just say, I don't know, we call it a string. No, we call it we assigned a bool to it. So maybe this chalupa does not have guacamole. For meat, it has steak. Salsa, it has, I don't know, spicy salsa. And tortilla, flour. And then for the 5-layer, we'll assign the values to these same fields. Maybe this 5-layer doesn't have guacamole as well. For meat, it has, I don't know, chicken. And for salsa, I don't know, none. No salsa. It doesn't matter what we assign to the string. It's just string. You can finish at this point. Tortilla, I'll just say corn. So we have 2 objects for this taco class. You've assigned values to the fields. Now we're going to write in the console again. So we're going to type, this is my taco. How about this is my first taco? To end the line again, you put the semicolon. And then We didn't assign a name to it. Instead of saying this is my first taco, let's say this is what's on my first taco. So for the first line, we'll write this is what's on my taco. And then we'll say chalupa. And then you can, in C#, you can concatenate a string, or basically add to a string by the plus sign. We're going to put a comma in between the ingredients. So chalupa, it's meat plus it's salsa. We're kind of running out of time, so maybe this won't make perfect sense, but let's just write this line for the things that are in the taco. And then, sorry, it should be read key. So we're writing in the console what's in the first taco. So if you press start, now we have in the console, this is what's on my first taco: steak, spicy, and flour. Like I said, we're running out of time, so I kind of just tried to put something together. But you're actually getting the values you stored in those fields to show up in this console because you're calling them with that dot. Any questions about that? We have like 1 minute left.
Yeah. So taco, you know, the call out means the class call out. Can we put like both the class call out, all the class call out at the beginning, and put all kind of like a means and initiate all objects together?
Yeah. There's
okay.
There's a couple ways to do that, Catan. The first is there's a syntax where you could put curly brackets, and then you could just say guacamole equals, and then a comma, and then meat equals steak.
No,
this is
okay.
This is one way you can do it, Catan. It's just a different syntax than what I did.
No, my question was a little different. I understand that, but suppose I will the first line will be taco chalupa, new tacos, and second line will be like a taco failure, new taco, right? I will declare both I will initiate both the methods. Is a method, right? No, yeah, it is a whatever. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, the new keyword.
And then I will mix all the arguments below for the chalupa and the failure. That will work. Okay.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
the way you're assigning it is by doing like
running out of it. Yeah. So no, it should be like a below taco failure, or it will be. It can suppose after failure tortilla. Can I put the argument chalupa dot salsa?
Yeah, of course. You could do chalupa.
Yeah, okay. So that was my.
Is that your question?
Yep, exactly. Okay.
Yeah. But basically, that was all we could really cover in this class. I wanted to get pretty admin, but you kind of need to understand object grouping because it gets into some other more complicated terms like what do you call them? Interfaces. So next time I teach another class, we could actually create the Revit add-in from this knowledge we went over today.
Just for the record, that's not how you make a taco, Alan.
Copy and paste.
Well, it is when you have like when you're in a rush.
Could you copy and paste the final code? I have something that's not working, and now I can just compare it against what you wrote and figure it out.
Sure. Do you want to? I mean, you can share your screen right now if you don't mind staying a little longer. We could just go over it. I don't mind staying a little late on this.
All right, I can share my screen with you.
Sure.
So I don't know where I messed up. I was really following you.
So in the line 36,
Right here.
you need to instantiate a new taco for 5-layer.
Okay, so how
Because
do
you have that variable there. So 5-layer, you need to set it equal to, because yeah, you could do it that way too. So taco is like the variable name, 5-layer. It's equal to new, you have to do, new keyword, and then taco.
Okay.
And then you can delete line 37 now because incorrect syntax. And you're actually assigning meat twice, but it doesn't really matter.
All right, so
That's double meat.
Taco is spicy and
But it only assigns it once because it's the same variable or field.
So in the right line, you would have to write it twice.
Yeah, or write the class in some other way to like make it make sense to have
Have
double
it
meat.
start to have a count or something on each item, right?
Exactly, have a
Not just
count
have
like
it
an
get
int
out of count.
for or a bool, like is it double meat?
So how would I make it read what's on my second taco?
You would basically do the same thing, but you would, instead of doing chalupa.meat, you would do 5-layer.meat because 5-layer is like a different object than chalupa, stored in a different variable.
Hey, I have one question. Suppose guacamole, that we declare as a string, can I assign the false value on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was as a string, you couldn't assign false like that. You can assign a string literal as false, like the quotation marks false.
Oh, okay.
But it's not a Boolean, so you can't accept.
Yeah. So here it is
keyword.
without quotation mark. That will work.
Yes. Quotation marks are for strings.
Cool.
No, in the class we declare guacamole as a string.
As a bool.
A bool. Okay.
Yeah. See in line 31, it's false.
Yep.
Cool. And any other questions from anybody?
Jessica, on your line 42, can you just show what the last part looks like? I feel like I'm...
So to split, you can, on the top, there's like a little stop button, like in the very middle of Visual Studio, top middle.
Yeah, I'm not
Oh,
sure.
you're adding more.
Yeah, I'm throwing an error somewhere. I'm not sure why.
Did you forget the plus, James? Because I actually just fixed mine right now. I'm not too sure.
I've got lots of pluses. Maybe I have too many pluses.
Yeah, it's probably something little like that.
So, yeah, I don't get, like, you got pluses front and back of like the chalupa, but then on the end there's like no plus.
Because you're basically there's no plus at the end because you're not adding.
Oh, right.
Guacamole is the last.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. I'm gonna stop share.
That's weird.
Want to share, James?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So Alan, with this program, I can teach my robot how to make me some tacos.
Because you don't have any guacamole or tortillas, James.
Yeah.
It
Do I
might
need
need
to
a
have
little
all
more
of
work.
it?
Yeah.
You need a
You're
tortilla.
eating it out of a bowl, evidently.
Okay. Make a burrito or something.
Oh, James, you forgot a semicolon on line 32.
On line what?
Thank you, Zach. On line 32.
32? Oh.
Dude, it's like the Matrix, man. Alan, it took like a second. You just, oh, 32. So boom. He just sees it in his head, man. He's so used to it, right? It just jumps out at you.
It actually is because Visual Studio like highlights it red. It actually.
Oh, you should have said yes. You should have said yes. It just
Oh,
jumps
okay,
out
yeah.
It
It's
jumps
like
out at me, man.
Just take the credit, Alan.
That's good. Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, it was perfect.
What else am I missing? Guacamole?
Double guacamole.
You get just hit enter when that text box comes up, right, Alan?
Or space?
To get out of the text box or the console.
No, when it gives you like the recommendation, like when you start typing. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
You just hit enter.
I think it's enter. I'm so used to doing it. Kind of. Yeah, enter. Like the IntelliSense.
You can enter, you can do
if you
tab,
press
you
enter,
can hit
it
period, you
auto-completes.
can hit comma. There's a bunch of things you can do.
Okay.
Those are the
There it is,
hotkeys for it.
James, right there, buddy.
I think I'm gonna go get some tacos tonight now.
Yeah.
You want tacos, you're not going to get tacos.
I know.
So the robot arm thing we have in the shop, we're gonna teach that how to make tacos.
I think so, definitely.
Hope so.
Maybe. Is it?
Forget the
I think
hook
I
lugs.
could
We
use
want
some-
tacos.
Thank you.
Have Miguel program some bowl locations with all the ingredients.
Okay. Thanks everybody.
Thanks
a lot, Alan.
One will make the Revit add-in.
So did we save this at all, or like for next time, or?
Yeah, we should probably save it when you're the host, right, James?
Oh no, man, like our code. Like if you're gonna have a second.
Oh yeah,
class,
yeah. I'll save it.
Or maybe for your next
You want
class.
me to put it on the. I could put it on the server somewhere, like a
Yeah. Okay.
file or a
Yeah,
code.
because then we can start with your clean one where it's supposed to be instead of our messed up ones.
Okay. I could do that.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Later.
Thanks.
Thank you.